Hi, I'm Katie Carey with the Home for Healing Arts, and today we're going to talk about home. I've been doing readings lately where the person comes to me and says, I'd like a reading, and here's my issue, and let's figure it out. And we start the reading, and as the reading progresses, it becomes kind of clear that the issue that they're asking about, the part of themselves that is coming to the surface, is more than the question that they had originally posed. And as the reading keeps going, it becomes clear that that concept that they're longing for is home, that they're not feeling at home, that they feel lonely, that there's a sense of longing. I call it belonging. They're longing to be, like for real, here, now, inside. I want to feel at home in my body, in the world, in the flow of the divine. I want to feel home. So, how do we do that? Well, this is something I've struggled with for decades. And I just over the last, I guess it's about 10 years now, 10 years ago, I started my very conscious, intentional search for home. And I knew it was something in me. I knew home wanted me just as much as I wanted home. I just needed to get on the correct trajectory so that we could crash into each other and fall madly in love and be together forever. So the first thing I did was I surrendered to the divine. I said, okay, God, you've got a better imagination than I do. I have a pretty good imagination, but you are infinite imagination. So what do you want from me? Where do I place myself so that I can be in home's way? I did make some changes. I made some pretty big changes. I started with changing my job because I was in a spirit sucking job, and I went to a life giving job. Which required me changing my housing because I could no longer afford the housing that a spirit sucking job could afford. And I needed to go where the life giving job would let me live. And that brought me closer, but not all the way there. But those tiny changes, the self-care and the spending time with people I loved, really brought me closer to being able to make the bigger changes, which was a huge change for me. I needed to completely start over. I needed to give up literally everything. I gave up everything. But I knew that it was a chance for everything. And so for me, that was worth it. And I have made a habit of making big changes, brave choices when I know that it is where God wants me to be. And when I say God, I'm talking about the universe, I'm talking about the flow, I'm talking about the Tao, I'm talking about whatever you call the divine. So I wanted to be wherever the divine could find me. And that's a little facetious. The divine can always find you, but I wanted to help. I wanted to be found. So I was going to put myself where that could happen. So I said, I'm going to go with the flow. Lead me where I'm supposed to go. It ended up leading me back home to my hometown. And this was a long process. This was several years where I was really prioritizing, deciding what kind of life I wanted, which was not the life that I wanted in my teens and early 20s. I discovered, oh, that's not who I am. That's not who I want to be in the world. I want to live a tiny life. I want to live a small life, because what I was discovering was the smaller I got, the bigger the picture got. And there's lots to be said for a big life, and sometimes I have big life envy. I'm not knocking it by any means, but for me, a small life was where I wanted to be. I also really wanted a loving family. I wanted my own loving family. I wanted children. I wanted a husband who could be a partner, who could be a true husband. And so I started putting that out as well, and I was very specific about what I wanted. And I'm not saying like I, drew a picture of him, but I drew a picture of the qualities. I wanted someone who was compassionate and life-giving and nourishing and physically affectionate, and someone who had a life-giving spirituality, someone who was supportive. And when I was so specific and would not settle for less, there was no settling here. I knew what I wanted, and I knew that anything less would not bring me home. It wouldn't bring me life. And when I did not settle, I did get a wonderful, loving family. And that got me very close. Well, that brought me home. I mean, I don't think you need to have a loving family to be at home. I'm not saying that, but it was what I craved and what I longed for. And I was able to manifest it in my life. This didn't happen until my 30s. So, you know, things aren't the same as when people my age, which I'm 38. When I was a kid, it seemed like, you know, you got married when you were in your early 20s and you had your kids, and some people still do that. But you're not a failure if you haven't done that. And you're not a failure by any means if you have a different life path. I'm just giving you my life path, telling you a little bit of my story. So I manifested this lovely family, and several years in, I was feeling restless. Like I had that home inside of me, but I wanted to manifest that out into the world. I wanted to feel truly at home. This is a little vague. I don't mean it to sound vague. It felt very specific for me. So then I said to the universe, I want a house. I mean, I want a home I live in with my family. I want to be an adult, and I want to find my forever home. I said that. I said I want us to have our forever home. And then I went house shopping, and that did not go well for me. And I think what it was because what I said to the universe was not, I want a house here. What I said was, I want our forever home. And the universe really listens. So then the universe basically like destroyed me. And not, well, that's what the universe does. I call it getting bitch slapped by God. If you try to put your own desires before God's, and you're really into like, hey, I surrender, and then you don't actually do it, I think you get a little, God's like, that's not what you said you wanted. Here, you said I was in charge. So everything went really horribly wrong, and things have gone horribly wrong for me before. And so when when everything was going so shit-tastically, I said to my husband, you know, the last time I felt like I was beating against a closed door, I was beating against a wall, it was because I was going the wrong way. And there was a wall there, and I can't go through walls. And what I needed to do was turn around and let myself be taken up by the flow and taken where I needed to be, which was him. So it worked out well. And I knew it was a good way to deal with the horrible year we were having. So we did that. We said, what's in the opposite direction of this? And what was in the opposite direction was a dream that we had held for a long time and had been visualizing and mapping out and designing. And that was a house that we thought we'd be in, you know, 30 or 40 years, maybe, if we were lucky. And that was a house that we would build by hand, an earth berm shelter, on my husband's family farm, the farm he grew up on. And we would homestead and try to make it work. So I was laid off from my job. This house fell through. It was truly magnificently wrong. Like, it never happens that way. That's what everyone said, but it happened that way. So we went and moved to the farm. We just packed everything into a U-Haul, stuck the kids in the car, and moved. And then we started building a house by hand. And the process of building a home by hand, being really displaced, I was in a community, I didn't know anybody, and we were living with my in-laws, who are amazing, but living without my own space, you know, without anywhere to put my things. Everything was in storage. I was displaced, but I knew home was there, and I trusted that this was where we were supposed to be. So we spent a year building this house, and it's amazing. You should totally check it out. It's truly fantastic, and my husband built it all by hand with his dad. His sweat and tears and probably blood are all over that house. And I was able to build it really intentionally. I was able to, there's blessings under the floor. There's crystals in the foundation. The whole thing has been blessed from the beginning, which is exciting for me. It's a magical house. This is where I'm meant to live. I want to live in a magical house. And doing the process externally required a lot of internal processing as well. I mean, this thing shook me to my core. I had to get into the nooks and crevices internally that I had said, well, you know, that's not so bad. I'm not going to deal with that. I had to go places that I didn't really want to go, but I wanted to go because I wanted to be home. And I got there, and we're there, and it's still hard, but it's awesome. So if you are feeling displaced internally, and if something's not right, how do I get out of this funk? What is going on here that everything's so nice, but I don't feel at home? Start visualizing what home is for you. What do you want to do each day? Who do you want to see? What do you want your relationship with the world to be like? What do you want your relationship with yourself to be like? You are meant to be blissfully happy. You don't deserve it. You are meant to be blissfully happy. I truly believe that God, the universe, the divine wants for us to be happy. And I don't mean happy like, because goodness knows I'm not that, but I mean at peace, at home. You are meant to be at home, to feel at home. So what do you need to do to manifest that internally so that you can then manifest it externally? Blessings on your journey.